Hey, friends. Welcome to Dishing on Divorce Next Chapter on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, Podcasts, and TV. I'm your host, Lisa Lisser, CEO and founder of LZL Coaching, a boutique coaching firm focused on divorce, relationships, and life transitions. I'm also a divorced mom of 3 now grown kids, a recovering lawyer, a current educator, a spiritual counselor, and a divorce coach who is committed to transforming the divorce experience for everyone involved. I wear lots of hats, just like you, and I do this work because it blends all my passions and skill sets, and it's personal. I know the fear, I know the overwhelm of divorce, and I know that you need help in ways that are hard to find. I'm here to be your guide on the side and to help you find the other professional resources that you need to make this transition as smooth as possible. The title of today's show is Your Vision for Your Next Chapter, and my guest is Scott Coopersmith, founder of SDA Wealth Strategies. Scott is a CLU and a CDFA who focuses and specializes on divorce support. His firm website leads with the line, "We are all about family." So, Scott, I'm going to welcome you, but also share a little bit of your bio so people get more of a sense of who you are. Okay?
Sure. Yes. Thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be having another conversation on this with you. Well, I'm a founder and wealth manager behind SDA Wealth Strategies, and I'm also a CDFA for my other division, SDA Divorce Solutions. I help clients navigate major life transitions like divorce, remarriage, loss of a spouse with clarity and confidence. Um, I typically act as a financial advocate during these emotionally complex decisions and trying times for people, whatever that transition may be. I'm currently also training to become a certified mediator to help broaden the support that I offer in being a neutral perspective when needed. I have two my own kids and in a blended family with a step parent of two. Been through a divorce and now remarried. So I bring a lot of different personal perspective and professional experiences to the conversations, and I really kind of try to keep my motto when working with anyone or to my family or whoever it may be, that always keep thinking about one step at a time, and try to keep that, help myself be grounded that way, and for clients as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I so appreciate your story because so many clients are living in the fear and don't really know the right way forward, how to put that first foot in front of the other. And that's what you offer, but based on your experience. If I could share a little bit more about your firm, you founded your independent firm in 2012. So that's already 13 years ago. And you called it SDA Wealth Strategies, which stands for Simplify, Design, and Advocate. But it's also an acronym for the first initials of your name and both of your kids' names. And that's really powerful because, again, you're keeping the kids in mind, recognizing that in everything you do, it's about them. And I can appreciate that. And that's like a model lesson for our clients. You share on your website that your personal experience with divorce and as a parent with joint custody gives you a unique perspective on the challenges and emotional struggles that people face during divorce. And I get that. And I think that it is a distinction with a difference because, yes, you don't need to be a survivor of cancer, let's say, to be a cancer surgeon or a cancer specialist. But knowing the experience of divorce gives you a layer of understanding that other professionals don't have had they not had that experience. And I'm not saying you have to have had a divorce to be an excellent consultant, but I'm saying that when you have, it gives you a different perspective because you know where people can get stuck based on your own experience. So you and I are both passionate about this work and ensuring that our clients don't step into potholes on the way. And one of the ways to not step into a pothole is to try and design your vision for the future. And this is something we spoke about a year ago on this podcast. But over the course of this year, you and I have had experience with clients where we got into the weeds and helped them really transform their experience of divorce by creating a vision. And whether they were in the divorce process or post the divorce process, this visioning really helps give you a target. It's like your GPS system. And so I wanted to talk with you more about the experience of creating vision statements for clients and the impact of that. And then in part two of today's talk, we'll also share how having clients with that vision helps attorneys and helps the other professionals like mediators who really are welcoming clients at ground zero, how visioning puts them a step up. Now they're starting at a different space. So why don't you share how you arrived at this conclusion that vision statements are really essential to the whole divorce process?
Yeah. Thanks for kind of framing it that way and then backstory. Yeah, it's interesting when, and you mentioned 2012 when going independent. I was under a different business name at the time. Had a partnership that ended in 2020 during beginning of the pandemic, and that kind of, like a lot of what other people go through personally, and we both went through divorces, that allows you a chance to think through what the opportunities are, what your vision is, what you really want to do. And it certainly gave me that chance, something I had been thinking about or shifting when it was completely on my own for a while. And that was a great opportunity that kind of was presented to me. Something, I guess, a silver lining that came out of the pandemic for me and for a lot of people, which is kind of how to look at divorce as where is the silver lining of what can you do with it and what kind of vision do you want. What is that? So when I had that opportunity, I really thought about what I wanted for my clients.
So I'm going to interrupt you if that's okay. You use the word opportunity. So part of what we do and what you do is we shift a perspective from looking at an obstacle to look at it as an opportunity. So the challenge you faced in 2020, which many people experience in terms of business transition, you saw as an opportunity as opposed to an obstacle. And that sort of like grounding for you is something that's so important for our clients. So tell me more about that.
Well, I think I might have mentioned this when we talked the first time, but it's when I was going through my divorce, a friend of mine had mentioned the word opportunity accidentally when I was having a conversation with him, someone I knew for since childhood, and it kind of reframed in that very instant that what I started thinking. It was completely just threw it out there. Um, and I started instantly thinking, opportunity for what? And then it just kind of spiraled from there of what it means, that word, and especially in the context of that time. So I really started thinking about it then, and it's hard. Same way, it's very hard to figure out your vision when you're in the throes of an emotional change, divorce or some other life transition of something happening. It's hard to figure that out. But that word now, I kind of feel like I maybe pay forward or carry it forward in telling others that the use of that word during these times. So seeing that word opportunity helps you then to kind of reframe and think about the vision that you want out of your divorce and then post. Because I kind of think that from conversations that we've had and working with clients, there's a vision of during your divorce of what you want immediately after, and then even longer. Then it's going to constantly change once you have one vision and then another one, once you're through it, because you're in a different headspace, you start to think of it differently. And that's okay for it to evolve. But going kind of back to that opportunity for me, that gave me the chance to rethink the business of how I wanted to do this. It was for the clients. I had this vision for myself and for the business of what I wanted it to be over time, to help people not just with the financials, but big picture life planning and how everything fits together. Why? Because you can't really, if you don't know your vision. People, a lot in financial services talk about aligning financial plan to your goals. Okay, that sounds great, and it's important, but unless you know how that's tied to your life values and your life vision, it's hard. A lot of people get stuck at that. Well, what are my goals right now? And then you're kind of spinning there and not knowing where you're going. So kind of the goal, the vision as a business was to really provide integrated services, one kind of a kind of coordinated experience for clients as they go through these transitions, to make things as simple and easy as possible for them. That was the overarching vision that I had. And in so doing, then over time, as I learned more resources and met more people like Lisa, was able to broaden that to how best to meet that vision. By now, we offer here life vision coaching sessions for my clients, whether they are on the wealth side and on the divorce side, building that into those divorce conversations initially right away too. So really wanted to bring it all together, all in the goal of helping people to get through tough times and get to where they're going longer term. Is that kind of
Yeah, you know what,
answer it?
that's a great summary of sort of your evolution into this visionary space, right? Like, we all say, "Oh, I have a goal," but what really is a goal? And it's interesting. I read a book by Emmanuel Acho, which it's one word, and I just lost the name of it. But he says that he doesn't like the word goals, because once you achieve a goal, you're done. So from his perspective, he was like, we can have objectives and we can have targets, but we are ever striving to move past those targets. And I think it was Unstoppable. Maybe. Nope, that's not it. I'll think of the name of that book. I'll look it up on my phone. But it was really a powerful book, because when we do things that we think are out of reach, and then we can accomplish them, that is powerful. And that's what visioning is about. Like, when we look at the vision for our divorce process, that's one thing. When we look at a vision for what do we want our finances to be, that's another thing. But when we take that together with what are my values, what kind of life do I want to lead? How do I move forward where I know I'm actually in alignment with my values so that I can create this vision? And one of the tools that I have used is creating 100-year life plan, where you chuckle. And I chuckled too when I heard about this as an exercise, because I'm not going to live 100 years past this year that I'm in right now. But what if you could look out that far and give yourself targets that are beyond reach right now, but are visionary, right? And the process for that is, like, you write a plan, like 5 targets for each of the next 10 years. And then for each decade after that, you write 3 for the whole decade, because, it's a little hard to go beyond 10 years. But the idea is, putting those visions in place enables you to accomplish a lot more than you thought you could before. And that's what we work on when I'm working with your clients. So transparency, I now work with Scott's clients to help them craft vision statements. And part of what I wanted us to talk about is how that has changed the dynamics of your practice and the individual clients that we've been working together with.
Yeah, and I'll certainly talk about that because that's gone very well in a moment. But just to kind of bring it back to that, what one of the vision that I had to summarize it and use I think an important word is that we're here to help you live a financially empowered life. And I don't think that you can feel empowered if you don't kind of know what your vision is. Um, and the other part that's interesting is that I learned, I don't even remember who was talking about. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of different things along the way to constantly evolve. But it was talking about how the notion of retirement is not really retirement. I try to not say that word anymore, but it's kind of impossible not to because it's so ingrained in everyone's vocabulary. But it's or kind of mindset. It's really about different chapters in life,
Mm,
and it's very interesting that that's really what it's about, because the notion of retirement is, for many people, there is no retirement really for most people. Actually, some people are able to completely stop working, but that's then their choice. That's their next chapter. That's what they're choosing to do. Many people don't stop working. They continue to work in some way because this term of retirement is defined a certain way.
yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that it's really about different chapters of something else that we talk about, of people's stories. And so what's the vision that you want these chapters to look like, as you're saying, these different years. So, and then the other interesting piece about the word retirement, that a lot of younger people um can't, how am I going to save for retirement? They can't latch onto it. It's God knows how many years away when they're first starting out. That's not even in the mix. They're trying to just survive week to week, or how they're going to buy a house, or whatever what their goals then are in that chapter. So it's too far away to understand. So you mentioned the 100-year plan. A lot of times just break it down simple for people. And that's when you're taking that and breaking it into chunks. What's the more immediate thing and vision look like then? So I think that probably summarizes why we've been having you work with a lot of clients going through, because and what their reaction has been. So anyway.
So it's really interesting. I want to sort of click on that term retirement, right? Like you just mentioned that you try not to use that word anymore because it has both positive and negative connotations, and we're not retiring from life, right? Like people think about retirement as like an end, but then they don't know what the beginning is. I work with a lot of clients that are not even necessarily divorce clients, but who are next chapter clients, who are at the end of, who are empty nesters. And so now their life is different and their focus is different, or they're leaving a profession they had been in and they don't know what to do next because they didn't have a chance to sort of identify what are their values, and how can they live out their values in a different context. And for people going through divorce, what we try to do is give them the opportunity to see this as an opportunity so that they have control over what they see in their next chapter.
100%, yeah. And because the word retirement is kind of prescribed of what it's supposed to be, and
Right.
it doesn't have to be that way and at all for people. So one of the most interesting things I recently learned about that word or that chapter is people leave jobs or go into retirement, and it is, statistically speaking, I guess it has the largest percentage of people who are depressed.
Yeah.
um and that it's a very big thing of people who retire and go into a serious depression. And I was kind of really surprised by
Yeah.
the statistic and how real it was. So it kind of, it ties into exactly what you're saying. If you haven't thought that through, without just focused on the goal of getting to that place of
Right,
retirement.
right. So like going back
So
to Manuel Acho, that is the goal. If the goal is retirement, so what do you do the next 20 years? Because you've accomplished that. So, okay, on that note, we're going to take a 30-second break. We're about halfway through, and we will be back to talk about specific instances
yeah,
of vision statements supporting your clients. And
perfect.
we will be back. And we're back. I'm here today with Scott Coopersmith, CDFA and founder of SDA Wealth Strategies. And he also has a corollary SDA Divorce Solutions. I'm tripping over my tongue here. Sorry about that. But we have been talking about vision statements and how crafting a vision statement can be and maybe should be your first step toward designing your next chapter, whether it's during, after, or whether it's before, during, or after divorce. Crafting a vision for what you're looking for rather than I just want to get out or I just want it to be over. It leaves you with a black hole, but crafting a vision statement just adds color. So, Scott, welcome back. And why don't you share a little bit about how you've seen the impact of crafting vision statements on some of your clients?
Yeah, I'd love to share that. It's been a great response, and why, just adding to there's two sides to it. There's excuse me, as Lisa mentioned, there's the divorce side and the wealth, and it's kind of two different approaches, similar but two different conversations. When you're going through a divorce, as Lisa is mentioning, you have to. One of the first most important things is, I used to call it, what's your objective? And I think it's a little interchangeable, but not exactly the same. When we first start working with anyone, one of the first things I want to know is, what is your objective? What are you trying to achieve through this? Not just, as you said, get out or end the marriage. And more than that, what is the vision for on the other side for you? Because you can't, whether we're helping you right before, or it's in the middle of mediation or litigation or whatever it may be in that situation, you can communicate best to me, a divorce coach, to a lawyer, if you don't know exactly what it is, what's your objective. And that can entail so many things, from parenting to what your new work situation is going to be, even if you're the main earner, or you both are, or have been stay at home. It doesn't make a difference. What do you want that life to look like, big picture, and also day to day, because it all absolutely matters in getting through it. Otherwise, you're really kind of just being very reactive, and most likely then driven by the emotion
Mhm.
and the pure transaction of it. Um,
No,
or
that's
or
really
probably
good. So I'm going to interrupt for a moment. Again, transaction. That's a big word. It's a powerful word. It's a hard word. People feel like, so yes, divorce is about transaction. I heard on one podcast, marriage is about love and divorce is about money. So money makes us think of transactions, but it also is such an impersonal word. And our marriage and our life is about our person. It is personal. So being required to compartmentalize the transaction from the emotions is really hard. And it can feel insulting. It could feel like you're being diminished. And when we are able to create a scenario where our clients can start to actually look forward at their vision, then that fuels the energy back into the people who are going through this transaction. And
Yeah, because you're then guided by that
yeah,
and a little bit more, and you're feeling better about, you should start to feel better about where you're going,
yeah,
and what that's going to mean on that other side at that point, if you can start to envision what that's going to look like,
um,
because it really is that opportunity. And what do you think about during a visioning process during divorce? You think about, there's so many things, and no, in zero specific order, as I mentioned about work. What kind of parent do you want to be? What do you envision for the parenting relationship? Because it's all going to change. And you might have been in one role as a parent before, and do you want it to be the same? Are you ready to take on more, or whatever that, that may be? And you have to think about all that.
yeah,
Planning is going to change.
yeah. And so if I can just like roll it back a bit, the book that Emmanuel Acho wrote that I was referring to is called Illogical. So that doing things that we think are illogical are those things that are going to get us to the next step. So maybe you think that you don't have time to craft a vision statement. Maybe you think that you need to be on this schedule, and taking the time to create this, compass point may feel like it's like, who has time for that? That's
Right, feels like extra
illogical.
work.
But that's what's going to streamline everything.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, that's on the divorce side, and and then post that in your life, you need to now you're through it and you have that idea, but then taking it even further for yourself as to, what do you want the next 10 or 20-year chunks to look like, and what do you want in maybe a new partner or a new job situation, or because now you're feeling in a different place. What restrictions does your divorce place on you, if any? And just thinking that those visions through, and then from that it all kind of builds out, what, from the financial standpoint, what does your job allow from an income standpoint, and building out some goals from there. So that's kind of, I think, why we've had you doing this, and it's gone great. I think I've gotten great feedback from many clients who have worked with you, because it's helped them to see things a little bit clearer, and then it makes the ongoing planning work that we're doing a lot easier for them to connect to. So I think that they have been able to. It doesn't. I guess when I said this, I think the other day, that I thought the idea at first, we need a clear vision statement, because that is a process a lot of businesses go through, or other people, and a personal vision statement. And sometimes that's great. Maybe it results in that, but other times it's really just the journey of thinking about it. Sometimes that is more powerful, or maybe just as powerful. So
Yeah. So what's really interesting is when you say that, is like the exercise, the practice of identifying what are your values, what are your wants, what are your dreams, and even if you think it's illogical, how would you want to be in the world, to see yourself? How would you want other people to talk about you? What would you want them to remember? All of these things are the things that create the environment or the space to that our clients can create a vision, whether it's in words or not. And if I can share one of our mutual clients, I will call her Sherry. She You sent her to me because she just was all over the place. She couldn't get organized. She couldn't really focus on what her life was supposed to look like, and she was overwhelmed. And we started talking about her values. And she said, what I really value is I want my house to be a home. I want it to feel comfortable and welcoming, so people can come here. My kids will feel like they could do what they need to do, and they're not overwhelmed, and they'll wake up on time, and we'll have structure, and blah, 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 blah. And we started really crafting what her values or why that was important to her. And then we wrote a vision statement. But what she recognized in the following sessions was that she actually had a picture in her home of a saying that completely embodied the statement that we wrote. So this confirmed that her vision that she was crafting with me was something that was actually embedded in her all along, but she never really looked at it. And so she wound up taking that picture and putting it in a place that she and her daughters could see every day. So it's like at the door when they're on their way out. So they always see it when they enter or leave their house. And it was
It's great.
so, yeah, it was so powerful for not just for her, but for me too. So, and I know that you've seen a change in her and how she approaches her financial future. So that's just
Yeah,
one.
I've had the best for me is I've had when clients call wanting more sessions because the that work while still having all the continued other planning and ongoing work that I do with them, but wanting to continue that because it's helping on both sides. So it works out I think great for them, and it is a little bit different than what they might be expected or get in not just the visioning process, but on for working with me too. It's different than when. I think they find it very helpful tying it all together that way. So,
And I also think that it's a unique niche that you
mhm,
sort of identified to walk into because people sometimes feel intimidated by their wealth managers or their financial advisors that they know more than we know or that they don't really know me. How will they know how to do this? And by creating a space where they can really start articulating something that they never articulated before, you're you're giving them an opportunity to trust that what you are doing for them is for them and is about more than business. And that's the unique thing that you provide your clients.
yeah, and thanks. Yeah, it just made me think. I how the idea came to do it this way was it's constantly talked about in the planning space of aligning your plans to your life and your values and what you want. So I thought, okay, I need to have. I'm constantly doing day to day all these things with for people, but and my clients, but I'm not having these conversations. So then I thought, okay, I need to do that. I need to do this. And then we had these conversations, and I thought, but it's going to take time away from what I need to be doing for them. So the idea of trying this, of an outsider having the conversation with people and seeing how that goes, and getting and, separating the process a little bit, I think just strengthens both for them. Because
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of
And
the
also,
end goal.
clients often feel like they hear the word divorce coach and they think, what do I need that person for? What is the role of the divorce coach? You know,
Hmm.
I am here like pounding the pavement, like divorce coaching can be your key to the smoother divorce. But until people experience it, they really don't know. And as a coach, I take my spiritual counseling background and I blend it all together so that I'm really holding their hearts as they share what might be their most vulnerable wants and
Hmm.
needs. And maybe they can do that with me as their divorce coach slash vision designer. Um, and then in tandem with you, then they build a trust for both professionals. And we don't have that much time left, but we were going to speak a little bit about how this work supports both lawyers and mediators in the work that they need to do for their clients. So let's give a snippet on that and we'll save it for our next podcast.
Yeah, and that's I think it's important that, if I'm working with someone for mediation, it's the same thing applies that they need to have that understanding. It's not just a full picture of what their financials look like and being organized that way. It's really having a full understanding of what they're looking to do. So when they sit down at that virtual or in-person table, they're more empowered to know exactly what they want, and and the best thing in mediation, at least, they're able to have a true voice and in the conversation, and then they're kind of able to lead it in a way, because versus sitting down, and a lot of times people don't know, okay, what's going to happen at mediation. They think the mediator is going to lead something, and they're there to facilitate it, versus if you're there empowered by what you want and you understand your financials, you can really guide it and move it along to where you want, and hopefully the mediator is there to kind of facilitate it. So that's on the mediation, and but in the lawyer and the litigation and with lawyers, it's similar, but only kind of building off of that you want to save time and money, right? Lawyers cost a lot of money. And the more you understand and about yourself and thinking clearly of what it's going to look like on the other side, you'll approach that process a lot smoother and not reach out to the lawyer every few seconds when any emotional thing happens, which a lot of people just tend to do. And I think the process will go smoother, and you'll save money.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a vision and you know where you're going, the road is much more direct, right? Like there is always the serpentine. We learn, we take 2 steps forward, we take some steps back, but when you can be guided by your vision, because you've articulated it, because it's constantly evolving, but at least you're growing, not just to knowing what your vision is, but to being the vision. Like, you have power to control that future. Whether you're going to be in a weaker financial space or not, if you know what your values are, you know how you want to live your life and who you want to show up as. And we all take very little time in the world today to think about, what are my real values? And so this opportunity is a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it'll tie your whole outcome for the lawyer or for the mediation that you control will be stronger after that, for sure.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Scott. We can go maybe next time into the nuts and bolts of what it means to create a vision statement. And again, the nuts and bolts of how the divorce coach and the financial professional really can be the key to creating the environment for a better legal support. So that could be maybe our next session.
And smoother and quicker outcomes. Yeah.
100%. So Scott, tell my clients, or my audience, excuse me, how they can find you. So tell
Best
us.
way is, just go. See, the website is listed here. Then go there if you'd love to
Read it
talk.
out, because this is going to be a podcast. So read out
That's
what
right.
it says.
Obviously, I should remember that. It's Scott at sdawealthstrategies.com is my email. The website is sdawealthstrategies.com. You can, if you'd like to have a complimentary call for 30 or so minutes, happy to talk to anyone. And there's a form there you can submit. That's you can also, of course, find me on LinkedIn, and regularly posting information there, hopefully helpful stuff, and would love to chat.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Scott.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, and it's a pleasure for my listeners. So for all my listeners, you can find me at lzlcoaching.com, and you can email me, Lisa at lzlcoaching.com. I offer 30-minute complimentary consults, and it's really about creating the best next chapter for you. Whether you're in the weeds or not, we're always looking at your next chapter. So with that, I thank you all, and I'll see you next time on Dishing on Divorce.